Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today I want to say a big thank you to my friends and brothers at Chai With My Bhai, which means tea with my brothers, where I had a podcast with them to discuss things like divorce and marriage and polygamy as well. And I hope that you enjoy it. And please subscribe to the channels, like and share to all your contacts. Hope you enjoyed the podcast.
In your opinion, what is the issue today when it comes to divorce?
Ideological differences, cultural differences, sometimes age differences also. Most of the wives I've married are like significantly much younger than me.
What are the things one should consider before taking that fire exit?
If you feel like, wait, this is just not what I signed up for, right? If you feel you're having to make major compromises as a man, right? Then something can perhaps be up. It's always best to go and seek counsel from those who know. We spend money when it comes to fixing things. Why not marriages?
Now, there's two reasons people get divorced. One is infidelity, cheating, and the other one is money issues. These are two main reasons. However, what do the numbers say? Overwhelmingly, when the couples engage with the therapy, 75% reconcile. 75%, even when there's cheating.
Now you've done the divorce, right? You've come to a point where you've done shura, you've done your istikhara. Then, wallahi, people should really fear Allah with regards to the iddah period, man.
Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Chai With My Bhai. We got a very interesting message the other day in our network, The Cave, which is a network for 7 to 9 figure Muslim entrepreneurs, executives, and investors. And the message was about divorce. A brother was asking, does anyone have a connect for a lawyer? Because I know a brother who's getting divorced and his wife is basically looking to rinse him. So he's, mashallah, spent I don't know how many years building up a massive empire. And now
I think it was 100 million euros or something. Wow.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
And he made the mistake of getting a legal marriage.
What?
And now he's looking for a way out. And he doesn't want to lose half of his empire.
It's done, bruv.
So I thought, you know what, let's do a topic. Let's do an episode on this topic of divorce. I feel like it is quite misunderstood. We live in a day and age, I'm sure you'd have the statistics to back it up. Divorce rates are extremely high.
Scary.
And we need to understand what is divorce, what are the things to consider around divorce, and some of the rulings connected to it, some of the hikmah, some of the experiences that we've had, whether it's ourselves or with other people. So first I want to come to you, Imran, very quickly, briefly, in 5 minutes, from an Islamic perspective. Yeah. Divorce, is it haram? Is it halal? If it's halal, is it fard? Is it sunnah? Is it mubah? Is it makruh? Is it disliked? Is it something you should do, shouldn't do? What's the Islamic perspective on divorce? Just in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Very brief.
So, I can answer that to you in less than 5 minutes.
Perfect.
It's something that Allah has made permissible, right? I think the analogy for divorce that I heard once upon a time was there's a building that's on fire and it has a fire exit. That fire exit is not to be used unless in case of fire, and when there's a fire, you use it, right? So divorce is like that. If this marriage and this relationship is on fire, we go our separate ways, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِيَا تَفَرَّقَا يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. If both of them go their separate ways, Allah Azza wa Jal will do what? He will basically, وَإِيَا تَفَرَّقَا يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah will enrich them both from His bounty. إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَاسِعًا حَكِيمًا. Allah is very expansive, right, in His bounty and His virtue and His giving, and He's also very wise. So a husband and wife going two separate ways, it's not a bad thing. You know, even the ayah, the very famous ayah we know about rizq, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever fears Allah, Allah will find a way out for him, and He will provide for him for places and ways that he never thought. This ayah is in Surah Talaq. It's in the context of divorce. Do you know what I'm saying? So Allah will provide. If you fear Allah in the process of divorce, and when divorce is happening and all this, that and the other, Allah provide a way out for you. But since you gave me 5 minutes, I want to add a few extra things. So, for all intents and purposes, yeah, everything I say in this episode, I would request you guys take with a pinch of salt, because I'm only talking to the guys inside of our network. I'm only talking to outside the network, students of knowledge, leaders, right? Because when it comes to the kind of woman that you have as a leader, right? When it comes to the kind of woman that you need to, the kind of things that you tolerate from women, and the kind of expectations you have from a woman as a leader, the status is different. The playing field is not level, right? A layman's wife and Imran's wife can't be the same, right? And the evidence of this is that Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran to the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, لستن كأحد من نساء. You are not like, O wives of the Prophet, you are not like other women. You're not like other women. In fact, Allah was very tough with the wives of the Prophet. He says, Allah, the Prophet can divorce you and Allah will give him better than you, right? Allah will give him women that are better than you. So, now I'm not trying to compare our brother Imran or me or you or students of knowledge to the Prophet ﷺ, but I spoke to our Shaykh in Pakistan about the Shaykh Diyallah, and I remember he mentioned that, as a da'i, student of knowledge, someone who's doing khair inside the ummah, a man who has great expectations and so on and so forth, then for him, his wife can't be like everyone else, right? And she needs to know that. And I was here reading Surah Al-Hijr, right, on the way to the studio just now, and it just hit me like, it goes through the story when the angels come to visit Ibrahim alayhi salam, right? The story comes a few times in the Quran. They come to Ibrahim alayhi salam to give him what? The glad tidings of him having a son. Then he says, فَمَا خَطْبُكُمْ, like أَيُّهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. He asked him like what's going on? Like where to next? What's up? And they say, إِنَّا أُرْسِلْنَا إِلَى قَوْمٍ مُجْرِمِينَ. We have been sent now, Ibrahim, after giving you the glad tidings of a son, we've been sent to destroy a people, right? And who? إِلَّا آلَ لُوطٍ, except for the family of Lut. We're going to kill everyone, we're going to destroy everyone, but we're going to spare Lut. إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ, except for his wife. And we've heard this story many times, right? The wife of Lut got destroyed. But I was like, why are the angels telling Ibrahim? Allah Azza wa Jalla told us as a matter of fact, right? The wife of Lut got destroyed. But the angels are going out of their way to tell Ibrahim alayhi salam, we're going to destroy the people of Lut, but save him and his family. His wife won't get spared. And I need to reflect on this a little bit more, but you get the vibe that a big issue is being made out of a treacherous wife of a prophet, right? A big issue is being made out of a woman who is treacherous and doesn't ride for her man who's going to war for Allah's sake.
And you feel like they were trying to give Ibrahim alayhi salam like a
I haven't reflected on it enough. I haven't looked at the tafsir, but what I'm trying to see is that you can clearly see like there's a
if it's mentioned, there's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it, and there is a theme in the Quran of the wives of the great men can't be like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, if you're a great man, and you have to be a great man, everyone thinks he's a great man, that's the issue, right? But if you're a noble man trying to achieve great things, and I'm telling you, a woman gets in the way. The reason this is all like top of mind, and I'll leave on this, I met with a brother yesterday, yeah, and young brother, I'm about 25 years old, phenomenal guy, yeah? He's got this thing called medology, right? He's basically helping people get into medical school. So it's like a 25% chance if you do it on your own. With him, it's a 90% chance. Allah barik, with him and his team. Phenomenal work. But his thing is, he doesn't just want them to become doctors. He wants these guys to become the leaders in positions like who, right? The World Health Association, organization. Sorry, he wants them to be like at the top of like CEOs of big pharma, like setting the rules in the FDA. He wants Muslim students and just the students in general, but 80% are Muslim, to become doctors that lead health for the next generation. He's telling me he's looking to get married. And I was just saying to him, listen, broski, just make sure you marry the right girl, because that girl is either going to help you or she's going to impede you. Tell me if you can relate. So you go to pray salah while you're at work, but you're rushing because your boss has put a timer on your worship. People are saying things about Islam, maybe they're even talking in pro-Zionist terms, but you have to keep quiet to protect your job. If that sounds like something that you relate to, then don't worry. I'm not saying you're a bad person. It's just that you're in a bad system. Many of us find ourselves stuck in the rat race. We want to escape so we can be free, but at the same time, you need this work. Otherwise, you're going to be in a very bad place. So for that reason, I want to share with you an opportunity that I've come across from a brother who's helped so many people like yourselves break out of this rat race. The brother's name is Abu Lahya. He's got a very simple program. He helps people like yourself connect business owners to influencers, strike a deal and pocket the difference. Super simple, right? And guess what? Also super effective, Allahumma barik. But it's not easy. It requires a lot of hard work. His students have already made $3 million plus in combined income, mashallah, tabarakallah. And in the next year, they're projected to do $10 million. We've sent people from this very channel to go and join his mentorship, and their lives have completely changed. Most will make their first sale, inshallah ta'ala, within 90 days, and 96% of his students make money if they follow the roadmap that he lays out for them. These are real people. We're talking about fathers who are struggling to spend time with their children. We're talking about students who are struggling to get married. We're talking about slaves of Allah who wanted to worship Allah and didn't want to, worship a paycheck. We're talking about brothers that were one bill away from breaking. Now, the best part about this is that you don't actually have to leave your job. You can do this on the side until you make enough money, until that security is there with Allah's permission to actually make that change and become financially independent. Look, from this program, you're not going to become a millionaire, but what you are going to become, inshallah, is free. So in summary, if you're tired of rushing your salah because your boss doesn't like you taking long breaks, and you want to make good, healthy, decent, and consistent income, inshallah ta'ala, then you should definitely apply for Abu Lahya's mentorship at the link below, inshallah ta'ala. It's not easy to get into. They're super picky about who they let in. It requires hard work, but it works. It genuinely works. With that said, you can apply at the link below.
So Imran, Dr. Imran, make let's have Sheikh Imran or Dr. Imran?
Oh, Sheikh.
I know.
I'm not a doctor.
Actually, you're older than me.
No.
Dr. Imran. I said I'm not a doctor.
So why do you got a PhD?
Yeah.
Yes, you're a doctor.
Not a medical doctor.
I was being polite. Come on.
So, Dr. Imran, I got a question. If it is the case that divorce is just simply taking the fire exit and it's something that's fine, there's no problem with it, why are we speaking about this stat being so high, something alarming? Why is it not just, okay, so fine, it's high, there's fires in people's houses, people are putting the fire out?
I mean, it's almost so obvious. It's, you don't say it's right in your nose, and it's somewhat difficult to see when it's so in front of your face. So Muslims, particularly in the West, we suffer from this inferiority complex. We have to look at this. It's a very nuanced thing in so many aspects, whether it's our dress code, diet, the way we live lives, how much we want to work, etc., and so on and so forth. When it comes to marriage, that's no different. When you look at the way we engage in marriage, the way we want to get married, even why we get married. Bro, like recently, I get a lot of brothers asking me, I want to get married. So I asked them, and they're so joyful. And when they say they want to get married, oftentimes they've already planned it. There's a girl that they've got in mind, there's families already spoken, and they kind of almost informing me, bro, I'm going to get married. So I say, why? And they look at me like, huh? It's almost like no one's asked them that question. No, well, why do you want to get married, bro? You're about to make the biggest decision in your life, potentially. Yeah. Apart from dying, this is probably going to be the most long-term decision in your life, because I'm assuming you're going to get married and you want to stay with this woman for the rest of your life, because you don't inherently make a contract with her without putting that, without thinking of it like that. And you've decided to spend, and at this stage in your life, I'm assuming you're not thinking about a second, third wife. So you're deciding to commit to this one person for the rest of your life who will have a huge impact in your life. Recently we saw a long-term study. There's not many long-term studies like this. It was a 70-year study looking at longevity. Yeah, lifespan, quality of life and quantity of life. Yeah, we don't have many of them because obviously studies like this haven't really been done long periods of time. One of the biggest, in fact, it was the most potent and the most kind of outstanding predicator for quality of life towards the end of life. So you look at people in the 80s and 90s, what kind of quality were they serving in their life? It was directly linked to their long-term partner. So the people who had good long-term partners, wives, I mean, this generation, unfortunately, we don't, but long-term partners, spouses, they were the people that were saying, not the millionaires, not the people that had great education, not the people that had great kids, not the people that had amazing houses. No. It came down to this one factor. Yeah. Long-term spouses. So I said to this guy, why do you, but half my deen in it, bro. Like, do you understand what even half your deen means? Do you understand the concept when you say that? I want to, I really like this girl. Well, is that enough for you to make, I like a nice car? Like, I'm not going to commit to that car for the rest of my life. Like you have to really ask yourself that question. Why do you want to get married? So for us, it's a big inferiority complex. Oftentimes people want the wedding. They don't want the marriage, or they want the wedding because they see the weddings.
How does that tie into an inferiority complex?
Yeah,
I'm not making the connection.
Think about our understanding of Islamic. When we say marriage in Islam, we're inherently talking about a very particular contract with a set rule of criteria. when you ask a typical person, what do you expect in marriage? Do you know the normal answer you get? Oh, I want the guy to be kind and caring and make me laugh. I'm like, really? That's your answer? What about being a provider, protector? You know, have you thought about your mahar? Have you thought about your lifestyle? Have you thought about what your expectations are from him as a husband in terms of rights and well, I didn't even know about these things. As a guy, what you expect? Oh, she should be very homely,
Cook
cook food. I'm like, bro, like, have you actually thought about what you actually need in a wife? And then, okay, where do you get this information from? Islam gives it to us all. There are certain things that are the rights of the husband and the rights of the wife, and these things are quite literally ignored. Bro, when sex comes into the topic of this, and I talk a lot about sex, it's part of like a lot of what I do, is work with couples. As soon as you start talking about sex and the concept that is an underlying principle of marriage, suddenly it's like, really? It's almost like they've never thought about this. I'm like, you're about to commit to this person for the rest of your life, and you've not even thought about this. Like, it's a big topic. So inferiority complex is there. We want to refer to how the West do it. We look at the novels, we look at the movies. The inferiority complex comes in where we are deferring to, instead of looking at what the Islamic principles are, we're looking at what the Western ideals and what the Western criteria, or the modern criteria, I should say, is for love and marriage. And then that knocks into divorce, you know?
Sheikh Fazal, you have extensive experience when it comes to marriage. And you're quite open even about your divorce. You know, you've actually authored a book. I think you got a copy here, right? Marry 2, 3, or 4, but there's always a big but, you know, when it comes to polygamy. What, in your opinion, is the issue today when it comes to divorce? What's the biggest problem that we have as a Muslim ummah when it comes to the issue of divorce?
Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulullah. I can only go by my experiences, right? And the experiences that have sort of, surfaced around my families and my friends and all that, right? I'm not like Sheikh Imran, who has an encyclopedia of statistics behind his...
Sheikh Imran or Dr. Imran?
Sheikh Imran, definitely.
One of the two, anyway. Maybe both of them, right? First of all, I don't believe that divorce is a bad thing. Okay, I think the analogy you brought was the first time I heard that analogy, and I thought it was an amazing analogy. And if you have to get out of a burning fire, you have to get out of the fire, right? Obviously, you try your best to put out that fire, as much as you can. But sometimes fires are not, you're not able to do that. So you have to get out, and
sometimes it's arson.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it can be arson, right? And you also it's important to see signs also from a very early time, place in your marriage, right? In my marriages, like, not that I know anything for sure, because anything can happen at any time, but when this is going to last and this is not going to last.
Can you give some examples? Because that's quite an interesting one. That'd be really kind of...
well, I mean, the first second marriage I entered into was in UK, right? And very quickly I discovered...
From the UK, I very quickly discovered this. It wasn't going to work.
Very quickly I discovered that there was a huge ideological difference. Huge,
You're from?
I'm a UK citizen, but I'm originally from Sri Lanka. Right? This sister was
UK citizenship because of Hong Kong?
From Hong Kong, yeah. But I would travel to UK actually to meet her, and we actually got married through a imam in UK. But immediately after about a day or two, I saw this is not going to work. And honestly, because the ideology was too much. It was, and we were like arguing from almost the second or third day, right? That was the first time I've been to UK actually, and I was kind of like, it was a novel thing for me because I was looking at people on the road and I see different types of people. And I was very curious to look at it. It's not that I was gazing as such. I was just, you see men and women and girls and boys, different hairstyles, different, I don't know, what do you call these things they put on the
piercings?
Piercings and I was very, I was like, wow, why did they do that? So
It's worse now.
is it? Yeah. So the first accusation I got was, why am I not lowering my gaze? I said, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not lowering my gaze, not because I'm looking in a sexual way, but I'm just curious. Like, it was a novelty to me, right? So anyway, I said, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, anyway, I tried. But then more than that was the coming from different. I mean, we're coming from sort of Quran and Sunnah. They were coming from something totally different, like
But would you say that was down to you not doing your due diligence before the marriage?
Possibly,
Sufficiently?
because
maybe you rushed
before
into
it was about 2 months actually. I was.
So that-
yeah.
a
And it
decent amount of
didn't
time.
strike me because it was only when when we were actually sitting in the hotel room and we were talking and we were discussing certain things that I realized, oh, this is and there was it was quite a rough time. Fortunately, and I was thinking on myself, how am I gonna get out of this? Right? Fortunately, one thing she had was the maturity to understand that also this is not going to work. So she said, let's not continue this. I said, yeah, okay. I'm with you. Right? And that was that, right? But so, I think the question here, to answer your question, right, ideological differences, cultural differences. I mentioned in my book, buy my book, okay? I mentioned in my book that cultural differences can be a sticking point, or it cannot be a sticking point, because sometimes culture, as long as it doesn't sort of go against, obviously, our Islamic fundamentals, right, can be a very, very, very good thing, beautiful thing, right? It's, you don't feel threatened by a different culture or different idiosyncrasies because it's different. It's not better or worse. It's just different, And sometimes, you may not be accustomed to a particular type of behavior, and then you make a big issue out of it because it's not something you're accustomed to, right? And that could sort of make what is it called, a mountain out of a molehill in terms of your relationship, right? You're going to have a few bumps, right? You just navigate over those bumps carefully, right? And then the road gets smooth, right? But if you're going to take that bump and you're going to make it a huge problem, right? So cultural, ideological difference, cultural difference, sometimes age differences also, they play an important part because most of the wives I've married are been significantly much younger than me, right? And while physical attraction has always been the primary motivation, sometimes you realize, oh, wait a second, physical attraction is not that, well, it's important, but it's not that important in terms of sometimes the generation gap, because I'm coming from a generation. You guys are much younger than me. I'm coming from a generation. I was born in the 60s.
How old are you? Akhi?
I'm 61.
MashaAllah. You got some good genes, bro. MashaAllah.
I'm coming from a generation. I don't know the names they call. They have names for Gen Z, boomers.
Baby boomers.
I think I'm called a baby boomer. I didn't even know what it meant until my daughter told me I was a baby boomer. So okay, if I am, right? But we're coming from a different generation, and sometimes when the distance or the age gap is significant, they don't know how to deal with you, right? I have to say this very frankly, right? If I'm marrying someone I've married girls as young as 27, 28, right? They're not my equal. They're not,
In what sense?
In the sense that I have more experience than them. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I'm just saying this is a practical reality. I'm a man, right? I expect certain things, right? When you are a manager of a company, or when you're a boss, you expect certain you expect your subordinates to talk to you in a certain way, right? And you will talk to your bosses in a certain way, but maybe you will not talk to your peers in that same way. So you've got to sort of understand. So I think when there's that kind of difference in age, they usually don't know how to sort of deal with an elderly person in a way that is, they look at you as your equal. So, okay, if you marry someone your age, you can talk to them that way, but don't talk to me that way, That's how I feel. I mean, again, it may sound misogynistic, but this is what I believe in,
Sheikh Imran. So,
Don't go, Sheikh, please.
all right, I'll just point at you then. Do you mind if I point? Normally,
You call me Imran.
all right, Imran. Are you not Imran? Dr. Imran. Okay, Imran. The house is on fire. It's burning.
Yeah, may Allah protect us.
I mean, what should a person consider? What are the things a person should consider before taking that fire exit? What are the things that should make you stop and think, 'Cause at the same time, you said it's permissible to fire exit.
Yeah.
You also don't want it to become something that people just use willy-nilly, because then it's
Yeah,
not,
of course,
then it no longer is a fire exit. It's just another entrance, and
Yeah.
people go in and out, and you get married like Skittles. You know, you're buying and selling cars. You're buying, you know, you're going in and out of marriages, and that's also destructive.
Absolutely.
So before that door is opened, how does a person know, okay, this is really a fire? This is actually to the level now where the fire exit should be used. And what should maybe stop them from thinking, wait, can I put this fire out?
Well, like these things, whatever I give you is going to be too much of a generalization, or maybe I'm going to be too specific based on me and my preferences, my reality, the experiences that I've absorbed with the people around me. It's kind of hard to say. But again, I would just come back and say this. If you feel that you're being held back by your wife, if you feel like, wait, this is just not what I signed up for, right? If you feel you're having to make major compromises as a man, right? Then something can perhaps be up. And in these type of situations, it's always best to go and seek counsel from those who know. You know, nowadays we go and get help for everything, right? Except for marriage. We get help for business. Like there's brothers, I think, what did Abu Lahi say? He said pay someone 20k, just talk to him for an hour or something like that. Like, Allah Barik, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's guys that will pay a brother 50,000, like the brother Dan Henry. He gets paid $50,000 just to spend a day with him, you know, just to ask him about how to set up his business and stuff like that.
Level, bro.
My point being is that you'll spend a lot of money for your business, right? When it comes to health, we spend a lot of money. Dr. Imran, you know, getting into all the things inside of our body, you know. We do these things, right? When there's an issue, like one of the brothers from the network just transferred $18,000 to our lawyer because he wants him to inspect the structure of the company. We spend money when it comes to fixing things. Why not our marriages? Why not our relationships? You usually want to go and what? Just ask whoever. Jahil, ignorant, family member, friend, bias, unknowledgeable, himself is not considering you or your circumstances broadly enough to be able to give you unbiased, objective advice that is for you. I tell people, like now, anyone who comes to me who wants to get married, I say to them, listen, just sign up to Gabriel Romani's thing, bro, right? Or come and speak to Dr. Imran. I say both of them, right? Go check which one tickles your fancy, right? Which one is your desire, your acquired taste, because Ustad Gabriel's got a character online. Yeah. Sometimes when I mention him to people, they're like, I'm like, if you don't find him comfortable, go to this guy right here. Point being is that the same way you will check in, right, with your operations manager, just to make sure that the OKRs and the KPIs are being, are on track on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis. Why not have a Muslim psychologist, a Muslim therapist who understands the Sharia, at least to the level that is required here, and understands psychology enough to be able to help your relationship. So, if you have these constant check-ins, like think about it, yeah? We're running a business. Me and you are constantly checking in. We have a finance meeting every month, right? We check in every week. We have a weekly team meeting every Sunday, right? Before we get to the end of the month, there are how many checkpoints will there be before we realize, bro, no one's gonna get paid? There's no cash. As in, that doesn't really occur very often because every week we're checking in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there are situations where we're like, oh snap, bro, we're off track. Like we're in the red zone. But now because you're approaching it in advance, you're having these meetings, you're organizing, you can take appropriate action. So my thing is, if you've got like a therapist, right? Or Islamic psychologist, right? It can't be anyone, trust me. These psychologists will mash you up. Only guys I will ever tell you to go to is this guy and Gabriel Romani. That's it, right? I will never tell you to go to anyone else. Just these two. That's the only guys that you will hear me vet. But I'm saying they will be able to tell you, you know what, I think it's time to depart. Like sometimes people come to me. I've done marriage counseling sessions for people, right? And I've tried to save every marriage that will come to me. But then there's mimes when I will say, yeah, you might should go your separate ways. So that's the first part of the answer.
I remember when we were in Pakistan and we sat with Sheikh Diyallah.
Yeah.
And someone was asking him about divorce and these things. And he mentioned something, and what he basically said was, and again, this is a general thing, there's many specific variables and everything. He said, in the Quran, what's the reason why it was mentioned that marriage, that your wife has been made halal for you, so you can find
لِتَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا, so you can find
peace and tranquility within her.
Yeah.
when you find that the asl of your marriage is no longer peace and tranquility from her, and in fact you're getting the opposite,
Yeah, that's a very
it indicates now there's a problem here.
Yeah.
فيه نظر. Something needs to be fixed, something needs to be changed, because there's a big problem. And of course it applies
That's
the other
very
way
powerful. You're right.
around as well. But if that is the objective of marriage, or that's the outcome you're supposed to be getting, if you're not getting that, and by the way, no one's going to be getting that 24/7. That's one thing, important thing to distinguish. We're saying the default. If the default of your marriage goes from being peace and tranquility to now being just stress, headache, you can't. There's a problem. There's a problem. You need to take some corrective steps.
One of the signs of a great investment opportunity is not just the numbers, but who is investing and why they are investing. A good friend of mine, Sam, who's a real estate developer, Allah Barik, he manages $150 million in assets under management without riba, has recently introduced me to a lot of his investors, and I've been mind blown because I've never seen people wanting to invest for this reason. We have one brother who invested $1 million, let's call him Abdullah, and the reason why he did this is because he wanted to put that money into an opportunity that's going to bring passive income so he can focus on memorizing the Quran and raising his children. Then on the other spectrum, we have 3 friends from, let's say, the Netherlands, somewhere in Europe, and they came together and pooled their money and brought together $100,000 because that's the minimum requirement for his project so that they can start building wealth without riba. Then on the other hand, we've got brothers like a very senior physician in Texas who's going to be moving into the Middle East in about 3 to 4 years, inshallah, and he's deployed $300,000, and he didn't do it because he needs the money, but because he intends to do hijrah, inshallah ta'ala. He wanted to start parking off his investment in advance. We have a brother in Australia, let's call him Farhan. He's currently liquidating all of his properties that he owns so that he can allocate those assets into Sam's projects. And finally, I'll mention we have a brother from the UK. He's a revert. He's given shahada to 20 members of his family with Allah's permission, and he's allocated $260,000 already into this project. And he's also in the process of doing hijrah. And the last one I'll mention is a brother from the US who managed $35 billion in assets under management, and he does not need the money at all. The only reason he invested is because he said the Muslim halal riba-free, like actual Sharia compliant, not just wink Sharia compliant, but actual Sharia compliant ecosystem is really weak, and I want to support projects like this. One of the reasons why I'm so amazed and I support Sam Amin's real estate development projects is because he's already made enough money to be able to just live and never have to work again. In fact, Allah Barak, his passive income every single month is 6 figures plus. But he's genuinely trying to help Muslims escape riba and make generational wealth so they can do the things that are more important. And just seeing his investors, not money hungry people, but very successful, very well-to-do people who have the akhirah in mind. And for that reason, I wanted to share with you this last call to have an opportunity to invest in his most current project, which is Majan in Dubai. This is a crazy opportunity. We're talking, you have an opportunity to get in on this project where the land is just 1,000 dirham per square foot, and it's inshallah ta'ala going to be sold for 1,700 dirham per square foot off plan. Now, anyone who thinks that those numbers are crazy, it's because they are. He underwrit 70 plus deals to find an opportunity that was going to allow for these type of margins, inshallah ta'ala. So if you want to get in before the doors close, and they are literally closing because the land has been purchased, the architectural work has been done, and they're about to go and launch the off-plan selling. And once that happens, the door is shut, the door is closed. So if you want to get in, you can apply at the link below. Do your due diligence. This is one of the most open book guys I've seen. He'll give you numbers of his investors. You can speak with them. The only thing that I ask is just make sure that this is going to be a right opportunity for you. What I mean by that is that you must have $100,000 liquid, ready to deploy within the next 30 days, inshallah ta'ala. If you don't, then this would not be an opportunity that would be suitable for you, and it will be too late. So 30 days, got to have the money, at least 100K, inshallah ta'ala, and then hopefully you can be a part of a great legacy that's being built, inshallah, without riba. So apply at the link below.
If I can say something here, yeah? And this is probably going to be more in favor of the sisters and the ladies, right? But in my experience, right, and I've done a lot of self-reflection as well. You have to do a lot of self-reflection because I don't want it to come to. I don't want to make it appear that everything is the sister's fault, right?
Absolutely.
When there is dispute in a marriage, there's always she says, he says. That's just ways, and you will always be sort of directed towards things that are prejudicial towards you, biased towards you, and she didn't do this, she didn't do this, but then you will completely forget about, well, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that, or I said this in that way, I didn't say it this way. So I think that a lot of times, of course, your advice is absolutely spot on, right? I mean, when you reach a stage where you do feel that there's going to be a potential breakup, I would always recommend that you go to see a therapist before you actually do that. Because as you mentioned, this is the most, next to death, this is like the most important decision that
there's stats on this, and it's very interesting you mentioned this, Zaki. Actually, I wanted to interject when you were speaking, but so we see a lot of kind of counseling sessions when it comes towards the end. People don't do the maintenance work, and then as they come to the end of it, and one of the first things I do a lot of couples after the first session, I say, well, you're at a situation on the precipice. It's either going to go one way or the other. And the numbers are quite interesting, though. When couples engage, now there's two reasons most people, the two predominant reasons people get divorced. Two predominant reasons. One is infidelity, cheating, and the other one is money issues. These are two main reasons. However, with both of them,
are the larger one.
70%. And I always say to them, I say, look, these are symptoms. These are not the problems. We'll talk about problems later on, but these are symptoms. But what I say to them is, look, you're on the precipice. However, what do the numbers say? Overwhelmingly, when the couples engage with the therapy, 75% reconcile. 75%, even when there's cheating.
So they're talking to each other?
Yeah, when they both engage in the therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, because oftentimes one doesn't engage. And the 25% that we don't see is when one of them are not engaging. One of them, I'm done. Yeah. So if you are going to come to the point where you think, okay, therapy is not for me, a lot of people say therapy is not for them. Honestly, try it.
Can I just say again, when I say therapy, I don't mean those liberal pro-feminist therapists. I don't mean those people that are not educated in the deen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Gabriel Mani is actually student of knowledge. He studied the deen. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Imran, mashallah, tabarakallah, again, understands. So that's why, be very selective. I'm sure there's other guys. I'm not saying it's only these two. But the point you mentioned about maintenance is very important, right? Don't just come and, try to put the fire out when the fire is burning. Have measures in place to prevent the fire in the first place. But the second thing I want to come at is that now you've done the divorce, right? You've come to a point where you've done shura, you've done your istikhara, you've come to a conclusion. It's time to get a divorce, yeah? Then, wallahi, people should really fear Allah with regards to the iddah period, man. The iddah is such...
Explain, what is the iddah?
Yeah, so the iddah is 3 cycles that the woman, after you divorce her, she will remain your wife.
3 menstrual cycles.
There's different opinion whether it's 3 pure cycles, cycles of purity or cycles of... But in essence, about 3 months, yeah. And what happens is that she's still your wife. She stays in your house. You're not allowed to remove her from the house, right? You as a husband, you stay with her. You remain with her, but you can't be sexually intimate with her. If you're sexually intimate with her, whilst you still intend for the divorce to remain, you get the sin of zina. But if you are sexually intimate with her with the intention of taking her back, then you've taken her back through the act of intimacy. Or you could just say...
And you've voided the divorce, basically.
You voided the divorce. Or you could just say, Raja'tuki, I've taken you back. Or you could say, I've taken you back, right? But the point is that this is one of the miracles and one of the things that shows how beautiful and perfect Islam is. Islam obviously wants the husband and wife to remain, right? Doesn't want the divorce to happen, right? And how often is it that divorces happen out of haste? The woman, if divorce was in her hand, what would it be? There'd be no married couple. There'd be no married couple alive today, right? Or very few.
Why do you say that?
Because women are just like, divorce me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's more emotion than logic.
And then even then, the man can say, I have anger as well, right? And he's got 3. And every time he says the divorce, except for the last one, there's a 3-month waiting period. It was like, you've said it. Are you sure you want this to be the case? And
Probation almost.
yeah, let's see what it's like not being married.
Yeah.
As in, we're divorced, but you are still in my house as my wife, but you're divorced.
Halal break.
Yeah. But you get to, in that time, see actually, was it worth it? That 3 months is a long time, you know. Do you know what I'm saying? And what happens is that some men kick their wives out of the house. Some wives go to their mothers and fathers during that time.
So that reconciliation is not.
It doesn't
really
even happen. Do you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And then the iddah becomes what? The iddah just becomes a formality. I'm just waiting for 3 months so I can start looking for the next one. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's annoying when people do that.
I remember there was a brother, and he was on a matchmaking app, and he matched with a sister, and he got put in touch with her mum, and her mum was like, "Oh yeah, she's still in her iddah period," but it was like, "Whoa, what
the heck?
What the heck? What's going on here? She's still married, and you guys are on a matchmaking app trying to find her another husband."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, they're basically separated. They've been living apart for
Yeah,
you know."
yeah.
And it was just like, bro, people have completely just misunderstood.
Ignorance? Is that ignorance?
It's just ignorance. It's just ignorance.
Yeah.
It's just not
This is very
understanding
important
these
what you
things.
mentioned, Akhi. Very important.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
I never considered this.
Yeah, no, it does.
You kind of almost think of it as just a waiting period, but it's not in it. It's an actual period of reflection,
Yeah, yeah,
maintenance,
100%.
possible reconciliation.
Reconciliation
Yeah,
is one of the
strategizing.
key
Yeah.
wisdoms.
Bro,
behind the
Strategizing
period.
in that time period.
But if,
wow, this is
if
incredible.
at the end of the iddah period you leave, and by the way, like think about it, you still had to live together for 3 months.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can live cordially, right?
Yeah.
That bad blood is in. You know, if it just leaves on on bad blood, no closure. But 3 months,
Closure.
it's
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know, this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
We've decided this.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like we've done therapy, we've done shura, we've done istikhara, we've done 3 months. We didn't end up having intercourse with each other, you know, but we still had to live with each other. Either you're gonna go back together or you're gonna leave in a very respectful way, inshallah ta'ala. So this is something that's important. I also do want to mention, yeah, as a general rule of thumb, if you have kids, like you should think that the whole divorce concept, if it's going to happen or if it's on the cards, should be stretched out and should be as long as possible, right? In my humble opinion, because what it does to the kids is mad.
Yeah.
As in, try and put out the fire for as long as possible.
Yeah, like as in, yeah.
Fight the fire.
Yeah, fight
And
the fire.
and
But when it comes to when you're single and it's early, and you can tell she's tapped,
then get out there.
then as fast as possible, but still follow the procedures. Yeah. Also, if I can just quickly mention, brothers, I spoke with a very wise brother once. Wallahi, very wise brother. Yeah.
Wiser than you.
In many cases, and he said something that, on paper, like it might even sound slightly heretical, but wallahi, there was wisdom in what he said. He asked the brothers a question. He said, "When you're looking to get a divorce, who's the first person you go to?" And I was like, "The sheikh." And he said, "No." He said, "You go to the lawyer first."
To the
To the lawyer.
lawyer.
And I'll be honest with you, of course you go to the sheikh, right, first, as in the deen, sharia, make sure you're following the rules. But there was a lot of wisdom in what he said. Because a lot of women, yeah, they play the law against you. Like this brother had actually been through divorce, and he told me that obviously you shouldn't be going through someone's phone that's spying, right? But he happened to just see a message that appeared on her phone from his wife's lawyer saying, "Get him to slap you. If you can get him to slap you, we can do X, Y, Z." So there's so much plotting and planning and goes on, and again, like I said, I'm talking to leaders right
That's
now.
deceptive
Yeah,
and evil.
yeah, I'm talking to the brothers in the cave.
Big exit.
I'm saying,
100%.
listen, brothers, make sure, man, that you protected yourself, and not just in terms of what, not just in terms of money, in terms of parents. There's a little situation that happened. Wallah, alhamdulillah, Allah tawfiq. I felt so empowered, man. I felt so empowered because I've seen brothers get ripped to shreds because their women do what? When they get divorced, they do what?
Take the kids.
They take the kids. Wallah, alhamdulillah. With
Just
Allah's
clarify, when you say
permission.
take the kids, we're not talking about custody. You're talking about not because
Parenting,
even the
physically.
Sharia
Yeah.
will give the custody to the mother for the
Yeah.
first X amount of years, except in the few exceptional
Yeah,
circumstances.
yeah.
What you're talking about is stopping the father from even seeing the kids, visiting the kids,
Bro,
speaking to the
the
kids.
damage that this does.
Or letting him see, but in like very like controlled
The
circumstances.
damage that this does is, when I mean untold,
But you
is
know-
untold.
But you know what we did? You know what we did? Number one, I called the sheikh saying, "Sheikh, there's a brother. This is the situation. We fear for the kids. I'm about to do a mad thing with a lawyer, Sheikh. I need a fatwa." The sheikh said, "It's clear." So I called the lawyer. I said, "Yo, broski, listen. What can you do?" Wallahi, the brother, it was in a particular country, by the way. Each country's got their own laws and whatever have you. He's like, "Listen, I'm going to do X, I'm going to do Y. It's locked in. They can't do nothing with the kids now with Allah's permission." I'm saying that type of stuff there, bro, that's all of that should be considered. If you're going to divorce this woman, you don't just say it. Like, guys will say it, lose their kids, lose their money, lose their woman, lose
But
all
you
of
need to
that.
prepare for it before you do it.
Yeah.
But just so because you made this point twice, anything that you wanted to really drive it home, the issue of kids and the effect and impact
Oh
that
yeah,
it has on
I mean,
kids. What
especially particularly when you're removing the father, particularly, and we're going to talk about this in the founding fathers, but and society, because there's so much research about single mothers, so much, it's overwhelming. Single mothers. There's all this research and data about it, and we constantly see a trend: the trauma and the poor outcomes that kids have from single mother households. Unfortunately, it's not always the case, overwhelmingly the case. Whether they're talking about education, job opportunities, whether we're talking about prisons that are filled with essentially men from single mother households. Yeah. One thing that, and Dr. Hannah Meakin does this, and she's amazing for this. She's non-Muslim. She's Oxford research tenure. Amazing the work that she's doing, specifically talking about the role of fatherhood. Now, you remove the father from that nuclear family, whether it's through divorce or stopping the kids seeing them, the damage those kids are going to have from psychologically speaking, academically speaking, financially speaking. Bro, you give me the categories and I will show you the data where they are dropping in numbers significantly. We're not even talking about a couple of bit of metrics here and there. We're talking about significant numbers. So sisters, before you think about removing the father, because if you divorce a man, let's say for example, like, this guy is a bad guy. He's cheated on me. Not you, like, but it's a hypothetical. He's cheated on me. Okay.
I'll never go to
Yeah.
another physician.
He's
You're never going to another psychologist.
he's a bad father. Those two don't correlate. Just because he's, cheated on you or he's not a good husband doesn't mean he's not a good father.
Exactly.
But oftentimes what women will do, they'll try and combine the two. Yeah? Because he's like this, I want to divorce him, but also it means he can't see the kids.
So Sheikh, shall I tell you something? You see, this is my issue, right? I don't think there's any point in talking to these women. I talk to the men. My thing is, you men, like, how many stupid men have just said divorce without putting their eggs in a basket, without getting their ducks in a row? Do you know what I'm saying? These women are going to behave how they're going to behave, except for those Allah has mercy on, Allah's guided. You as a man just need to know that every guy says this to me. Trust me, my wife, she's got problems, we're going our separate ways, but she's not like that. She's not going to do that to me. I'm saying to brother, trust me, don't trust any of these girls. There's a saying, again, slightly heretical, probably very heretical, but I'm going to mention it not because it's accurate, but just so you can get the meaning from it, right? They say hell has no wrath like a scorned woman, My Bengali friend, the
No
one who
fury, actually, but yes.
has no fury. My Bengali friend who actually gave da'wah to me, he told me in Bangladesh they have a saying, you can maybe verify it. It's like, women have a certain vein, and when it pops, they'll do things that you just don't expect.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, bro, like, assume that the woman is gonna take your kids and all of your money. Just assume it. Just live it like it's. Or I'm telling you, bro, I'm coming to you from a place where I've seen men broken because of this. I had one brother, wallahi, sat down over a curry with me. Over a curry act.
Oh.
He sat down with me and he said to me, I've given up. I'm not going to see my kids again. I'm done. He's like, I don't have the energy in me to fight anymore. He goes, 4 years I've been to war with this woman. She's taken my kids back.
So let me ask you guys a question, yeah? If the marriage is going down the drain, it's going down the gutter, the house is on fire, but there's kids involved, are you saying a person, the husband and wife, should just stay for the sake of the children and just try and
Yes
tug
or
it
no?
out?
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Or isn't that just settling for a dead
Yes or no?
relationship?
Yes or no?
It's not about staying. So
What's it about?
you need a motivation to reconcile or fix. Look, there's issues. I say this to all couples. I firmly believe there's very little that we can solve if we really engage and really want to solve it.
We cannot solve, right?
We cannot solve, yeah. Women, oftentimes, what's the biggest issue? He cheated, he likes another woman, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, can we fix, if I solve this problem for
just
you?
to Richard, we're not belittling cheating. Because
No, we're not belittling it. What I'm trying to say is, can we solve
cheating
this
is
issue?
huge.
Yeah, it's a big issue. But,
yeah, I mean, that's
in
stoned
the
by death.
deen.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
stoned by death.
And oftentimes,
Stoned
bro,
by
it's
death.
not even, when I say cheating, it's a lot of brothers that looking for second wives, I'll be honest with you.
Right,
Like,
okay, so it's not
genuinely,
actually
like,
cheating.
yeah, I saw this brother on Sunnah Match, I saw this guy on Nikagram, I saw this guy on Muzmatch.
Oh, that's what he means.
Okay, you know what I mean? I don't really, when it comes to cheating, I'm very like, no. Like, bro, you shouldn't have done that. That's like, you do some serious tawbah, really think about your psychological profile. Why did you do that? But even in that situation, I say, okay, sister, do you want him to continue go out there and cheating? Like, you know what I do? And this is a brilliant
But once
exercise.
again, isn't that like kind of like guilt?
It is a little bit,
Shaming,
but it is a bit, but it's not.
If I can
Yeah.
just have one thing, I think
Yeah.
sometimes when a crisis comes up, don't make a worse crisis out of that crisis.
Yeah, yeah,
You try to
absolutely.
sort of navigate and manage that crisis and say, okay, how you can like kind of like.
Once
So
again,
this is why I
if
do-
there's a righteous woman who's modest and her man is cheating,
That's a him problem, not a her problem.
Yeah,
It
that's
is.
not-
The issue I'm trying to is because we're back to kids. Why are we trying to fix this marriage? Yeah. So if you've got like a let's say, so what I always do is I do this exercise with them, and this always helps. I say to them, let's go back to why you got married.
when you say cheating, are you talking about a man who's sexually penetrating women outside of marriage?
Yes, there's been cases of this.
No, but it's broad, Nick, because
Yeah, yeah.
women use this word cheating for,
Yes, it's
you
true.
know,
Someone looked at picture. he's got
right. Do you know what I'm
Instagram.
saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so what are you talking
We're
about?
let's say the full.
So if I-
let's say the full picture. Somebody has completely physically cheated outside
Adultery,
of marriage.
okay.
Adultery. Yeah,
Okay,
they've done
and the
that.
woman's innocent.
The woman's innocent. Yeah.
So that
Now,
guy
they've come.
needs to get
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
smoked.
So they've come. Okay.
But he needs to get
Now,
smoked.
For example, I'll give you an example. One
Yeah, I'm confused.
couple. I'll give
Why
you an
would
example.
you
One
put it on
couple.
her?
So one couple recently, and this was like last week, no, 2 weeks ago. She hadn't slept with him for 3 years.
Yeah, that's her problem then.
This is my
Of course,
point.
he's
So
He's still wrong,
He's
no,
still-
no
still
doubt.
wrong, but
he
Like,
should have got a second wife.
But yeah, exactly. Now,
He should have divorced or got a second wife.
But can you see how multifaceted? It's not one layer.
No,
it's
she's
not
a
one.
shaitan.
Yeah, yeah.
No, she's a shaitan. No, Qasima billah, she's a
Yeah.
shaitan.
So it's multi-layered. It's multi-layered because look,
She's a
part of it-
shaitan.
look,
Right,
part of it is
okay.
look, he himself. One thing I identified. I've had 3 sessions with this couple now. One thing I identified with him, he struggles being a man in the relationship. There's layers to this. There's layers to this.
So then
And this is where this yeah,
goes back to being
yeah
his
this is
fault.
like when you go to a mechanic and you say, okay, look, I've got this problem with my head gasket. They don't just simply replace the head gasket. They might look at 10 different things that will prevent that
full
problem happening again. Yeah,
diagnostic.
diagnostics. It's a similar kind of thing. So one exercise I always do, I take them back to the initial meetings. I say, when you first got married, that first week, what was it like? And bro, you suddenly start seeing these amazing emotions and feelings coming out. And it's very indicative of whether or not these guys can reconcile. Because I need to know, can these,
Is there still feelings
is there
there?
still something there?
okay,
Like,
yeah.
is there something I can pull out of them? Then it's about getting them engaged into the actual therapy itself. So when it comes to this situation of like, say a guy's cheated and their kids involved, specifically, so going back to this kids thing, because the kids part's important. I try and explain to them, look, you need a motivation. Why, you're asking this question, should you stay in it for the kids? It's a yes or no question, like Sheikh was saying, because if they will motivate you to fix the relationship and make it healthy, and kids should be a good motivation for this, because kids are an amazing way to Jannah. Kids are, they're in a manner, they're a trust, and the nuclear family works. We know this in every category. The nuclear family works. Why would you want to destroy
and
that?
also, if there's an absence of love, mercy can still make a marriage.
Yes, absolutely.
Mercy.
Love is overrated.
Mawaddatan wa rahmah.
Yeah.
Allah placed between them love and mercy. This-
as in
Yeah.
pity.
no, mercy.
Mawadda.
Mercy.
So explain what's the difference between pity and mercy. How can a husband?
I don't know English.
It's rahmah.
I don't know English.
It's not mercy in
But-
the sense that we're talking. You have mercy on this
Yeah,
person. It's
mercy
in
is
the
a
sense
type of love,
It's
actually.
like tranquility, more
But
tranquility.
it's,
Like,
but
all that
it's
kind
not
of
like the husband-wife type of love. Like I can have, when I see a cat starving, it's mercy. I give it something, give it some food.
So you're saying
I'm
stay
not-
with your wife out of mercy,
I'm not saying
even if there's no love.
I'm not saying stay without mercy. I said they want to get divorced, but I'm going to stay because of the kids. So the insinuation is, can the marriage last when there's no love? And I'm saying yes, if there's mercy.
But in
If
this
husband
day-
and wife are merciful to each other, i.e., they give each other their rights, not out of love, but out of mercy.
This is the key part.
They talk to each other out of kindness, not necessarily because she's in love with him, but out of mercy.
But we've got divorce coaches these days, saying, sister, know your self-worth.
Idiot. This is the problem.
Where's
Sorry.
what do you
No,
mean
I
mercy?
agree,
Know your
brother
self-worth.
Imran.
What is this?
I agree.
You know where this comes
Put
from?
yourself first for once,
listen,
baby.
You right there.
No, I think love is a
taking
lot.
mental notes. There's a lot being cut out.
Leave it in, bro.
Love is overrated a lot
It's
because
overrated.
we're following the Western sort of
Yeah, this
romance
con-
novels and all
yeah,
that.
honestly.
I
I'm
have to
hearing
be in
thumbnails,
love
sorry.
with someone to marry that person. Of course, when we're marrying somebody, when we meet somebody, say for example, arranged marriage or something like that, but my first marriage was something like that, right? I wasn't in love with her.
Yep.
Right? That was not the case, right?
What is love?
Mali yuqaddim.
What is love?
What is love?
Love, I might sound a bit corny here, right? But love probably in a romantic sense is a sensation that you feel towards a person where if that person was not there, you would be miserable.
Oof.
You would feel miserable because that person is not there for you either, physically or emotionally or mentally and all that. I think that's what I would consider love, right? But I'm not saying that's a prerequisite to be in a successful marriage
Yeah.
or a decent marriage, right? I think that I think that
He's thinking I'm not in love. He's thinking I don't love
I'm
anyone.
thinking my life would be miserable without you, my bro.
Wallah, I was thinking the same.
Subhanallah,
Wallah, I
bro,
was thinking the
this is
same.
it. Wallah, this is
I
it,
was
bro.
actually gonna say.
a match made in heaven.
I was actually.
Subhanallah, why not?
Wallahi, I was actually gonna say. So
Bro,
I love you.
the love the Prophet ﷺ had with Abu
Sallallahu alaihi
Bakr,
wasallam.
Umar, and Bilal, and all, bro, they will be. We don't see narrations where Hazrat Aisha is going to be raised with Prophet ﷺ, Hazrat Khadija, even though he professed the romantic love for them.
Yeah.
Bro, who is he going to be raised with? You know, when you look at this, and you know, oftentimes this is a big problem. I say this to couples all the time. Don't make them your best friend. Don't make them your best business partner. Don't make them your advisor. Don't make them your mentor. Don't make them your confidant. You could have secrets in a marriage. Obviously not but like inherently bad secrets. What I mean is, for example, let's say I'm doing a business deal. I don't need to come to my wife and explain to her every aspect
You're
of that
on a
business deal.
need-to-know
And
basis.
yeah, you're on a need-to-know basis. You know, let's say for example, she's having problems with her family, her sisters. She wants to discuss it, she can, but she doesn't need to bring her family problems to you. Not necessarily.
It's crazy when you deep. You know what you're saying is so powerful, right? Don't make her your confidant, as in everything, right? Like there's just things that, but
Expectations, basically.
but the West has made it like you should tell them.
What about
Everything.
your soulmate? What do you think?
No,
Think about the
that-
concept of
that
soulmate.
concept does not exist.
Like,
Whoever made that
Because
concept
what's so-
should be finished. Yeah, whoever made that concept of these guys are soulmates, bro.
because in my book I mentioned the fact that when you are choosing a second wife, right?
no.
I use the word because in my case I would say that my first wife would be a soulmate in that sense, right? So now I'm corrected that there's no such thing.
No,
for-
what
Wait,
you found
what do you
there-
mean by that?
Who said it has
what
to
you
be
found-
singular? Soulmates.
My soulmate, yeah.
So
Plural,
what
right?
you found by that, look, I mean, don't get me, there's an Islamic
your
connotation to
definition?
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's an Islamic underlying principle to it as well, where you already have been assigned the people that you're going to marry. So you could look at it from that perspective as well. This one that's already assigned, the roles are attached. Fair enough, okay. But beyond that, what you found is you found somebody who's very highly compatible with you.
Yes.
You don't need to ask who is love. You've, mashallah, given this beautiful, and honestly, it was deep, man. You know, I was deep,
What is love?
mashallah. You know, I had to read your book again. But I'm going to give you the science behind it, bro. It's simple, yeah? That initial attraction hit with oxytocin and dopamine. Dopamine motivating you to go close to that person. When you get to that person, you get hit with serotonin. Serotonin now relaxing you and put you in a state of satisfaction with this person. Then you hit with more oxytocin, which then creates the pair bond. That is an phenethylamine, which then gives you the sexual urges. That
the
is your
encyclopedia,
chemical
right?
formula for love. I could make this in a lab and give it to you, bro. Yeah?
Really?
In peptide form, yeah? Honestly.
And I just feel
I was
love.
laughing.
You'll feel love.
You might as well go out like.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean?
This is what I've been needing for my whole life, bro.
But do you see what I'm
I
trying to
will
say?
reject myself right now.
But what I'm saying is, look, there is a highly driven chemical bond and science and neuromodulators behind all of this. So then how do you then define this love thing? The reality is we can't, bro. It is, when you look at it, that's why Allah subhanahu doesn't use it for husband and wife. He uses it for himself in the creation.
Mawadda is not used.
Love, the word love,
No, he doesn't.
specifically.
What the?
Yeah,
But
but
it's
in the tech context, you know what I mean? The word hub itself, when we actually look at it,
No, one of Allah's names Al Wadud, and then he mentioned he's the one who plays Mawadda, which
Mawadda and
comes from,
Rahmah, yeah.
comes his name Wadud.
no, but what I'm saying is that the word love, hub specifically.
Hubb, yeah.
Yeah, it's the word specifically hub.
But
Because
but the word for love between husband and wife is Mawadda.
okay, fair
Look,
enough.
look. There's, I think I understand what you're saying. It's hard to define.
It's hard to define.
Which is why the Arabs have like 47 different words for love.
SubhanAllah. Wow.
And I think that's I think there's a lot of credence to what he's saying. Imam Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala has a book called Rawdatul Muhibbin, The Garden of the Lovers. Like, it's such an interesting book. There's one chapter that will blow your head to bits when he starts talking about the Salaf and their sexual encounters.
Wow.
Wallahi,
jump on the book.
mashallah. Anyway,
It's translated in English.
I don't think so. But Allah there's some of the Salaf who made dua for their member before engaging.
Oh, yeah.
Like give me
yeah,
strength
yeah.
in there. Wallahi, there's some
So-
narration I couldn't believe I was reading. But anyway,
I should clarify that on
yeah.
this then.
So
You're right.
Just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
mention,
you're
so
right.
what he mentions that there's like I think like 40 different types of love. And he defines each one, right? So like different circumstances, there's a word for it.
Ishq, hub,
Ishq,
mawadda.
yeah.
This is
Mawadda.
40 different habits. That's between a man and a woman.
No, just generally.
Generally,
Just
okay.
generally. There's like
There's a
ibadah.
love you have with your children. There's a love you have with your
Ibadah is a
parents.
type of love.
you have with your
But
Ibadah
friends.
is the highest-
We're
Ibadah
now
is the
focusing
highest
on
form of
marriage,
love.
right? That's the key, right?
So I should clarify then really, because I don't, and Jazakallah for explaining that,
No,
to be fair.
barakallah feek.
I'm going to add this into my own thought process. But this modern understanding of traditional Western love,
Yes.
this Romeo and Juliet type love, where, you know, you look at this woman and you fall in love with her immediately. That's infatuation.
ishq. That's ishq.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so ishq.
infatuation. That takes you away from your mental
Yeah, I don't believe that is love at all.
You know, we need to really stop and think, okay, we go back to marriage, we go back to these things. Like, I think one of the things was prenups we're going to talk about.
Prenups.
Yeah. So I'm going to...
Legal marriages.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump into this preemptively.
Go on.
This is something I never talk about. Like, bro, like a prenup isn't that, you know, if you're really serious about spending a long-term relationship with this person and being married to this person for long term, there's nothing wrong with having a discussion about prenup. You know, there's a guy called James Sexton. I don't know if you heard of this guy. He's a prolific, high net worth individual lawyer, divorce lawyer specifically. He's huge right
In
now.
America, right?
Yeah, yeah. I met him like 2 years ago at the airport. I recognize him because I've been reading his books. Yeah, the really interesting guy. Yeah. Now, in his book, there's one story he mentions, and this like blew me away. And I asked him this question when I met him. I said, bro, like this part that you mentioned here, I don't quite understand what you mean by this. So he explained, he goes, there was this one case that he was dealing with, and it was to do with prenups, and they were doing a prenup. And in the prenup, and he was a divorce lawyer, but he was also the lawyer that did the prenup for them. They'd got like divorced like 5 years later. And he was saying in the prenup, this guy was a serious baller, high net worth individual. They'd set the alimony for her at $70,000 a month. This was her alimony. Yeah, this is what she wanted in case of a divorce. Okay, the criteria. Yeah, no, but he was worth a lot of money.
No, I mean that
is a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
You know?
However, check this out. So he, in his side of things, said, okay, that's fine. However, for every £10, so every pound that you gain, every £1 of weight that you gain for every year in the marriage, you lose 10,000 in alimony per month. Yeah, and this was enforceable, by the way. It was the contract. It was enforceable.
Smart man, huh?
Yeah. So this went to got to divorce. The judge was like, "That's disgusting. Yeah, I don't know why you married each other, but it's enforceable. You both signed it." Now I said, "Bro, like in your book, you put this as like this. I consider this love." I said, "I need to explain this to me. Like, what is going on?" So he explained this, and he goes, "Actually, Imran, I would say this is one of the purest forms of love." I said, "Like, you have to explain this, bro, to me. Like, this is a bit weird." He goes, "Think about it. These guys have not just thought about this; they've quantified it and put it on paper." He's saying, "Look, inherently, I find your physical beauty a value factor to me. And I'm telling you, I find it valuable. If you lose this value in this marriage, it's in the contract. If you lose it, then I'm going to lose value. You're going to lose value to me." Yeah.
And she finds value in the money.
And yeah, because think about it, she's getting 70 grand a month, bro. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? So she's like, you know what? I'm going to get 70 grand a month. Is it worth me staying in this marriage? Potentially. And is it worth me maintaining my weight? Yeah, it is. For me, being with this guy, looking at his wealth, looking at his status, it's worth me maintaining myself at this level. And for him, it's like, yep, it's worth me having this woman because she looks like this. And they've put it on paper, bro, and they've made it very clear.
So how much did she end up getting?
I can't remember the exact numbers, bro. He didn't explain that in the book. Okay. But in the sense that, do you see, now most people look at this and that's disgusting, bro. Like, even the judge said, but he's explained, look, this is a very pure form because they've clarified it all. And this is the issue, bro. We don't clarify anything before marriage, you know? We don't clarify these things. Like, there was recently a brother, and I'm going to actually do a reaction video on this because it really upset me. He's a very prolific guy from the UK, comedian, yeah, and he's done this podcast thing, and he explained in the podcast that, yeah, the woman should be earning and bringing in equal, and this is like something you should talk about before the marriage. The woman is working, bringing in an income, you know, she has to be a provider as well. And I'm thinking, this is the wrong mindset. You're teaching brothers to be just like chilling. Like, you should be saying, no, men should be able to look after their and provide and protect and all these things. But, you know, that mindset's gone.
On this issue of just going back one step, you said prenups, legal marriages. Fazal, what are your thoughts in terms of legal marriages? Should Muslims
prenups
get into them? Prenups, legal marriages, all of that.
I think prenups is the most unjust agreement.
Really?
Yeah, because basically...
For who?
For the man.
Uh-huh.
For the man.
Doesn't it protect the man?
Yeah, prenups are designed to protect.
It's more to protect the woman, right? Because she gets the $70,000.
It can happen both ways.
Huh?
It can happen both ways.
But I think that, you know, and the beauty of Islam is that there's a just system in Islam.
Yeah, we already have our own system.
Yeah.
But the problem is a lot of Muslims are living in countries where the Islamic system is not the system that's in charge.
So you used it to protect your Islamic rights, and anything that goes above and beyond your Islamic rights, you don't accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can draft it that way, yeah? And then that's where you draft it in a way that is conform to the Islamic principles. Because I know a friend of mine, he's paying something like, not that kind of money, right? But he's paying something like 100,000 Hong Kong dollars, he's from Hong Kong, to his ex-wife for the rest of her life, right?
Every year?
I mean, every month.
$100,000.
Something like
Hong Kong
Hong Kong
dollars.
dollars. Hong Kong dollars.
How much is that in dollars?
It's about $10,000. 10 or
Still a lot.
12,000.
Still a
Something
lot
like
of
that.
money,
right?
bro.
Still a lot of money,
for the
right?
rest of his life.
Right, this is the agreement that
that
they
to me.
made,
How
right?
does
I
that
mean, like, I
work?
don't understand the
Yeah,
justice in this
So
system.
Yeah, I don't get that.
what the way they explain this is that this is still odd to us, but what they say is that during his building phase, particularly, so it's something called a BPL. It's a legal phrase.
What?
It's called a BPL. It's a legal phrase where they kind of
BPL.
they use this analysis to work out as to what is this woman owed. So let's say, for example, he's bought a house before the marriage. She doesn't have a part in the house, but anything that she's bought to enhance the house, she now has a part of. Now, this from the point of marriage onwards, everything this guy owns and earns, especially if she's not earning, particularly if she's not earning.
So she sacrificed her opportunity for career.
Yeah.
and
He wouldn't be able to do
look
this
after the house.
if it wasn't for this, and that's
Which
how
allowed him to then go
Yeah,
on.
Oh, they want their cake and eat it too.
So let me ask you a question.
absolutely. That's essentially
wanna
what it
be
is.
Islamically, what is due to a woman after divorce?
You said 3 months, right? You said 3 months of. You
of
mentioned that,
iddah?
right? Yeah.
I mean, during the iddah, she's still your full wife.
If she's pregnant, then you support her until it's a very
Well,
fair and
but,
just
but
system.
she's got children.
Yeah,
They need
yeah.
to be provided for. You were the father.
Yeah.
So
I need to revisit this, and if you're asking,
No, what I know about this is the first. If there's no children involved, the first 3 months they stay in the same house. Then she goes back to her parents.
Yeah, but he's talking about maintenance, like as in what?
how much alimony?
As far as I know, there's no maintenance. What's the
No,
need
for your children.
for children? No, I'm
Yeah.
saying if there's no children.
No, but also some scholars mentioned like if she's breastfeeding, right? Then you can then you pay her. You can pay her.
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
breastfeeding.
No,
So
let's say-
my
let's
point
do
is the specifics I need to revisit.
Let's take two scenarios: one without children, one with the children. With children, yes, of course, there's a
So with the children, like, is it for life? Is it
for
for
the child, for the child, as I know it.
I need to
And
revisit.
for about 2 years, as you say, weaning for support the mother to win. But
So and who decides how much the child needs? Like, is that something
custom,
you go
I
to
think.
a custom? You go to a court in your country, or it depends if you're not in a
whatever
country.
whatever
decide
you,
it.
whatever the.
I mean, to simplify, you don't divorce the children, do you?
Yeah.
If they are children, and brothers, honestly, I've seen on
some-
settings.
look,
Some guys
yeah,
do.
this is what I'm explaining.
There's-
I
there's-
see
shocking.
So
Not
many
some guys,
cases,
many
bro.
guys.
It's heartbreaking.
So
many
there's one
cases of
important
this.
thing to mention. So although Islam doesn't have like that concept of she could take half your wealth, right? It has a more just concept. Allah says, وَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ وعلى الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف. That give her a gift, give her a parting gift, and for the man who is like financially tight, he gives her a gift based on his what?
Really?
His ability. And a man who's financially like very well off, then he gives her a gift based on his
Perfect.
ability.
Yeah.
So, for example, if a guy's a decamillionaire, right, he might give her, for example, $250,000. $250,000 is a lot, you know.
A lot of money.
You know what I'm saying? He might say if a man's net worth is 10 million, he might say, you know, I'm gonna give her $250,000, bro.
And he should.
And perhaps,
He should, yeah.
perhaps, right? Depending on the urf and this and the needs and kada. If a man's a centimillionaire, he might say, you know what? Let me give you 2.5 million. And it's nice because it's a gift. The chapter's closed. There's no duress. You're not being forced. You're not doing it for the rest of your life. And it's framed in like Allah loves it. Allah loves the ihsan that you do to each other. حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُحْسِنِينَ, right? Allah loves the khair. So a person is willing to do it as opposed to all this other stuff.
What is an ideal post-divorce co-parenting setup? What is the ideal? If you can achieve this, it's good.
Well, I don't know, bro.
I briefly experienced it.
Go on.
Because I was briefly divorced from my first wife, due to the second, as things go. And then I very quickly had this realization that, wow, what the hell am I doing? You know, because you kind of...
Oh, after your second?
Yeah. Because, you know what you were saying earlier?
No, as in after you were divorced from your first, made you realize.
Yeah. Because, you know, you said having the right woman in your life can make such a big difference. SubhanAllah, bro, like, my kid's mother, she is that leader's wife, bro, without a doubt. On a different level, bro. Like, I can't even, subhanAllah, I feel bad praising her so much, but because I think, wow, how am I living up to like being the right husband sometimes? That's how it comes, subhanAllah. So it's very
bless
powerful.
you, brother.
But on the flip side, bro, when I had the second wife, wow. Bro, this time 2 years ago, wallahi, I was about to apply for a job in Asda. If it wasn't for one of my brothers saying, Imran, what are you doing, bro? Let's go sign this paperwork for this clinic. Bro, I wouldn't be sat here right now.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah?
That brother right there is a 30 friend.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Brother Saul Rogers. Subhanallah, bro, this guy.
Muslim?
Muslim now, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Allah,
He was incredible, this guy, honestly. And I'm forever grateful for that. You giving me that. But
This is another point. Sorry, just a quick sidetrack. When you're going through any of these issues,
pack.
you need a wolf pack.
You do. You do 100%. That brotherhood is so important. So having that's the level it took me down to as well. But anyway, having this appreciation for the first, there was this co-parenting phase, going back to the original point, the co-parenting phase. And I kept it really simple. I said, look, we'll be homeschooling as well. So obviously the kids didn't go to school. So a lot of onus is on us as parents. So you have to be very particular. Now, this goes to the brothers. Brothers, please, brothers, I beg you, for the sake of your children's mental health, their physical health, every metric of health that you can think of, specifically spiritual, bro. And I don't want to go too deep into this now. We'll talk about it in the Founding Fathers. Do not neglect your children in this way. Yes, your wife might have wronged you. You might feel it's unjust to you. You might feel you had a traumatic divorce. Put all of that aside for your kids. You're a father and a husband is two different things. Yeah. And normally this is what happens. Women do tend to become very, almost kind of mean, for want of a better word. They become horrible about the situations and they want to punish their husbands, so they keep the kids away. They use it, they weaponize it. Yeah, that happens.
A sign of immaturity.
Immaturity, absolutely. Now, if that happens, okay.
And they come with all of the justifications in the world.
Oh, bro, see all the time. I'm dealing with one case right now. It's really sad, bro. But I say, look, okay, fair enough. In that situation, your hands are a little bit tied, but keep trying. But when, like in my situation, it was completely open. Like there was no restrictions. So what did I do? I said, okay, khalas, this lady is homeschooling my kids, so she can't go back to work. My daughter at the time was 3, so she was very young. She didn't have a job. I was previously paying all the bills. So I said, okay, khalas, look, whilst you're in that situation, if and when, because at the time, obviously, I wasn't thinking of reconciling. We were broken apart. If I said you get married, then my initial time was, okay, if you get married, then you are no longer my responsibility, but I'll continue providing for my kids. Up until that point, I was paying for everything. Because I said, if it wasn't for you, I can't go to work, build my business, do my things. You are essentially being my wife without being my wife, technically, because you're looking after my kids. Whenever I needed to see my kids, and this is part of having wealth where it facilitates you. Because I was able to do those things, she never complained. So when I wanted to see the kids, take the kids whenever you want. Whenever I couldn't see the kids, I have to cancel last minute, she was happy with that. Because I gave her ease. Despite going through a divorce.
Pragmatic, actually.
Pragmatic. You have to be pragmatic. You have to take the emotion out of it. You're the guy, take the emotion out of it. Yeah? So I say to a lot of brothers, look, build your door, get your finances right. That will give you a lot of flexibility in these situations. And if you can't financially do it physically. Yeah, make time, make structured time, schedule things. Like one of the things I always did, all the clubs my kids go to, they go to boxing, Thai boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all of these clubs. I was responsible for taking them. Yeah, so I'm making sure that they've got fixed times. I'll grab them, take them, drop them, spend time with them there, bring them back, boom.
Pardon me for digressing, yeah. But even this concept of money that you just brought up, there is like a sense of feeling in the air that, like money's bad and, don't chase the dunya, which all is absolutely true. But I resent the notion that money is bad, because money, the same, like, there's a hadith where the Prophet mentioned, hadith from Abi Dawood, Imam al-Bani, Sahih, that there's going to come a time when there'll be a lot of wealth and there will be a lot of people reciting Quran as well. And then the people who are reciting Quran will start innovating, because they will say, no one follows me. So, like, obviously people use the Quran for bad as well. So that's what I'm trying to say. As in, they use the Quran is inherently pure. There's nothing wrong with it. But people use the Quran for like their own, their own, like desires. Money is, of course, there's no comparison between the speech of Allah and money. But my point is that one thing can be used for good or bad, right? But this is one of the arguments for men becoming very financially independent, and not just passing by, but it's like in this day, like, in a man's leverage in a relationship, in a marriage, and also, as you just mentioned, in divorce, is the money that he has.
Money, bro.
Right? الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. Men have been placed as maintainers of the women and given a degree of virtue based on what they provide for their families, for the women, for the wealth that they have. So, like what you just said, like for a man to be in a position like that, where he can use his wealth as leverage to protect himself from having his children taken away from him, like subhanAllah, a lot of guys can't do that, bro.
No.
They don't have that money. Their kids just get taken away. Like, for example, there's a situation, right? A brother goes to a divorce. He could say, look, I'm gonna fund you. As in, he chooses. There's no prenup. You're not gonna get a penny. I'll tell you what. I want the kids close to me. I want them down the road, inshallah ta'ala. I'll pay for the flat. I'll do everything, right? But I'll fund you, so you don't have to go beg the council, right? So you don't have to walk the streets. I'll give you more than the courts would have even given you, but in return for X, Y, Z. Like the framing's different. You know when a woman's saying, I've got you every month, give me 2K. And the difference between that and saying, hey, you were going to get 0, but I'll give you 2K in return for I want you to stay right there. I want to see my kids every day, or I want to see my kids X, Y, Z. You know, a man can do that when he's got money.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just so out of touch with the day and age we're living in to just make people feel like, hey, just, you know, money's bad. You look in the comments, bro, on some of these videos where some of these things I mentioned, and everyone's like, oh, finally someone said it. Those are people that are just trying to, I think, make themselves feel better for their circumstances.
I always find it strange when people say, you know, money doesn't make you happy. And I completely disagree with that. I think money does make you happy to some degree. There's a plateau you reach probably.
$70,000.
You're going to read that.
Read that. Right, where you don't get more or less, you know, won't make you happy. But I mean, it's just an obvious thing, right? And I think it's really a little bit, you know, foolish and immature to come talk about that, because today this is what you need, right? If you don't have money, you can basically do nothing.
You know, before we had like, you know, this whole concept of money, there were other things that made you secure. There's always a currency that gives you security, power, and it comes down to essentially influence and power. You know, nowadays it's money speaks. You know, 500 years ago, you know, being a tribal leader spoke, having the biggest army spoke, having the best, you know, strength in battle spoke. You know, there's different criteria throughout history. But ultimately now that is the power move right now. You know, if you need to have influence, not just in your family, but in your community, in the finances around you, simply because it'll facilitate these things. You know, it will absolutely facilitate these things. You know, if you want to come and see a therapist, it's not free. Like, think about that as well. Like, you know, you want to come see a therapist, a good therapist, you're going to have to pay for it.
How much do you charge, by the way?
You know, drop me a DM, so more custom rates. But Jen, that is the case,
you got to
isn't
take
it?
care of the squad, man.
No, of course,
The
absolutely,
cave,
man.
bro.
You know,
Like,
but in the
the
sense that,
cave.
do you see what I mean? Like, you know, if you need to go to a doctor, you've got no finances, how are you going to do these things? So,
Like,
money
you could be in the UK and say NHS. Like I was saying, like one of my best friends, bro. He had a hip injury, and the NHS just played him around. And then when they finally gave him an appointment, it took 2 years to get it. They said it's deteriorated so much, your hip needs to be replaced.
Wow.
A 22-year-old man, bro. At the time, obviously, he's grown, and Alam Barak, you know, he done some alternative stuff to kind of, you know, strengthen himself, calisthenics, Alam Barak. But point being is that, look at that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I would have rather just gone private then.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to digress, bro.
Yeah.
That's a different matter.
Sheikh Fazal, final remarks on this topic?
Well, on the topic of divorcing, huh? Yeah. I think that as the brothers we talked about, right? You know, divorce is something that is probably not the right way to approach a relationship. If there are ways to salvage it, right? And I go back to what I said earlier, right? Before you get to going to a therapist, even, I think that you've got to do a lot of self-reflection and see what you are doing in the marriage to make her, you know, dislike you or have problems, or what she's doing, and she should also reflect. And sometimes that can be, and I have done it in my life, sometimes that can be done in a quiet moment, you know, with breakfast, and said, okay, yesterday I said this, okay, you said this. Maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. Because sometimes, you know, it's also the way you say things, right? You know, you could say something with a tone that is very disrespectful, and that could sort of erupt into something, you know, unwanted, right? But there are situations where you have, you know, big obstacles. You have, you know, you've tried your best, they've tried your best. Then I would suggest go to a therapist, because when you go to a therapist, he will look at it, and he or she will look at it and present you with a different kind of perspective. So I didn't think about it like that, you know, and they're not coming from emotional. Whatever said and done, right? When two people are in a marriage, there's going to be emotions in it, right? And they're going to be, they're going to let their emotions, you know, control their speech, their actions, their behavior. But when you're talking to therapists, like Brother Gabriel or Brother Imran here, you will look at it from a completely divorced from any, sorry for the pun, but, you know, divorced from any emotion, right? And potentially and most probably give proper advice and say, look, you know, if it can be salvaged, it can be salvaged. But if it can't be salvaged, you know.
If I could just add on to that, you know, the concept of the wolf pack, man. We didn't talk about it enough. A wolf pack, in essence, is just having you know when a man is going through something like this, of course, as a woman as well on her end, but this is going to be the hardest thing to go through sometimes, right? Like, it's the one thing that could just throw you off your game, bro, because your kids are involved, your parents are involved, her parents are involved, sometimes her siblings are involved, your siblings are involved, she's involved, you're involved, your kids are involved, bro. There's so much to it. It can shake a man, you know what I'm saying? And just to have a pack of wolves that's just looking out for you, because she's got a cat pack. She's got a little kitty pack, right? And that kitty pack gonna create chaos.
Snake pack.
Is You're right. Let's call it a snake, man. I'm saying, but let's be nice. I'm saying that kitty pack filled with emotions and claws and you know what I'm that. I'm saying that's dangerous.
I can just imagine the YouTube comments at this point in time. You know, sisters are gonna be a lot. Hey,
Yeah,
brother,
but
what are you saying?
but any day of the week, bro.
They're going to be
wolves-
saying, when's the divorce party?
any day of the week, bro. Wolves will eat cats, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? So have that wolf pack.
Yeah.
Have that wolf pack. The brothers who fear Allah, who are intelligent, who are wise, who are experienced, who fear Allah, that's underlying factor, you know what I'm saying? Who actually have her and your kids' best interests at heart.
Since you guys are both given an opportunity for final remarks, we'll come to Dr. Imran.
Give us a howl.
There's one concerning thing I do want to end on. A lot of sisters follow these online influencers, particularly female influencers, talking about divorce and love and marriage. Very, very, very toxic. With no data, no clinical backing. There's one sister, for example, right now, she calls herself the home wrecker. This is her online. Wallahi, bro, it's so scary.
The home
She's-
wrecker.
She's a divorcee who's teaching other women how to get divorced.
She calls herself the home wrecker.
She calls
She's an
herself the home
arsonist.
wrecker. She's an
Just
arsonist, bro.
ask it, yeah.
Yeah, so why I say to sisters is, specifically sisters, because,
Their judgment system.
yeah, you know,
Misery loves company.
brothers have these wolf pack, brothers have a bit more sense in who they speak to. They don't fall down this romantic route of, you know, Romeo and becoming this romanticized version of marriage, but sisters often do. So sisters, please, like, really, really think about, you know, the practicalities of your marriage, what you're actually getting out of it from a practical standpoint. Forget about all these Western standards of love and stop following these toxic influences. Go back to the lives of the Prophet ﷺ and go back to the lives of Sahabiyas.
Very last question that I just wanted to ask. Do you have any stats with regards to satisfaction post-divorce? Are people usually happy with the decision or did they usually regret it?
You know, there's a really funny statistic about divorce, right? So I'll tell you stats of divorce, first of all. 56% currently. Conservative numbers. 56%
Of marriages,
first-time marriages that get divorced.
legal or even like
This is across the board, legal. These numbers come from divorce lawyers' office, by the way. So there's a whole, and most of these divorce lawyers say there's about 20% we can add to this because the numbers are so great that people don't report it. From the people that get divorced, 85% remarry within 5 years. So for your going back to the question, you know, satisfaction.
as in they get remarried themselves?
No, as in they get married to somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So people love getting married, man. People want to get married. Like, they don't want to stay
5
divorced.
years, within 5 years, that's a long time, right?
Yeah, but
Isn't
within
it?
5 years, 85% of them within 5 years. You know, that's
I'm asking, as in,
Not
do
5
people
weeks.
feel regret that, oh wait, I made the wrong decision, shouldn't have done that?
so this is my thing. Or based on the numbers, they can't because they're getting remarried and they're moving on, and the numbers are so great. It's not like you've got this. It's a failing. It sounds terrible, but it's a failing technology in that sense. The modern understanding of marriage doesn't work. We've got the numbers. Like,
But then also, you may regret initially and momentarily, then you move on. Life goes on, right?
goes on.
And you
That's
find somebody else,
Yeah.
and then
Khair, guys, we'll leave it there, inshallah. Let us know if you want more topics like this in the comments. So with that said, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.